You witnessed the early development of the Islamic economy industry and had opportunity to interact with many of its pioneers, including the late Sheikh Saleh Khan. In your view, what was the core vision that drove those pioneers, and why does it remain relevant today?
Thank you for the question. The primary objective of Sheikh Saleh moving into Islamic finance was his mother's advice not to be involved in anything to do with riba, which is forbidden by Quran and in Islam, right? So,
I remember also he got a fatwa from Sheikh Sharawi.
yeah,
Like Sheikh Sharawi, yes.
yeah.
That's right.
So, Sheikh Saleh started very successfully in the 70s in Saudi Arabia as a pioneer in many activities, helping the government in services provided as a provider of services to the government. And there was a lot of cash coming into his account. And he had his account with the City Bank in Saudi Arabia, which was called, at that time, I think it was a joint venture, City Group. And they noticed, the manager of the City Bank in Saudi Arabia noticed millions entering into Sheikh Saleh's business account. The next day, the money is taken out.
Yes.
So they noticed this trend, and then the manager of the Citibank went to Sheikh Saleh and said, "Why are you immediately taking away the money when it is entered into your account?" He says, "Because you are a riba bank, and I cannot keep the money with you." So he takes it out and puts in a bank in Egypt, which was more or less less of a problem because based on his mother's advice. Then Citibank asked him, then how can we help you to keep your money with us? Then he said, maybe you can do Islamic concept of murabaha. And I was told that Citibank tried to facilitate him with that, even though it was not an Islamic bank, but they saw the wealth that was coming into his account. They facilitated so that he can be a client of Citigroup at that time. This was related to me personally by Sheikh Saleh, and that's how then he thought, why not I myself do something on Islamic finance, because it is not available in most of the countries at that point of time. Then I think initially he was a partner with Prince Faisal, and they were doing the Faisal Islamic Bank. After that, Sheikh Saleh is one who wants to do things in a quick way, and maybe he was showing that Faisal Islamic was not as aggressive as he wanted. Then he went and started his own AlBaraka bank. This is the history of how Sheikh Saleh entered into the Islamic finance world.
Okay. After more than 4 decades of growing and expansion, do you believe the Islamic economy has moved closer to fulfilling its developmental mission, or does the industry still have work to do in translating its principles into broader economic and social impact?
Of course, Islamic finance has moved over the last 4 decades from where we were and where we are today. A lot of improvement, a lot of development has taken place. A good example is Malaysia, where Islamic finance started in the early 80s, and today almost 50% of the financial assets are Islamic in Malaysia. And then in the Middle East, in UAE, also Islamic finance has caught up, and a lot of big Islamic banks are there. Pakistan is another example where Islamic finance has developed, and many other countries. So the development has taken place, but is it enough? The question is no. We still have a lot of work to do, because comparatively we are still very small in relation to the conventional bank. So yes, progress has been made, but a lot of things to be achieved in future.
How do you see that capital in Islamic economy can create economic growth and social impact?
You see, one of the problems in the world generally is the world is now divided into the have and the have not. There is a big divergence, and this is fault of the capitalist economy, where the wealthy are getting wealthier and the poor are getting poorer. And this role of narrowing the gap is one of the basic principles of Islamic economy. And in that, I think Islamic banking and finance has also fallen into the trap of making the wealthy wealthier
Yes.
and the poor remains poor. And this is where we need to really address, and part of this symposium here in the AlBaraka forum is how to bridge that gap. You know, many of the speakers
Yes.
we were talking, and hopefully this will take on now. There is a realization that the gap needs to be narrowed, and all the financial institutions and the regulators jointly will help to narrow the gap, inshallah.
So that leads us to one question. So how do you see the most pressing challenges facing Islamic economy? Creating wealth, directing wealth, or maximizing its development impact?
See, we need, of course, wealthy people. People like the AlBaraka group, Al-Raji group. These are wealthy groups.
Yes.
And they need to develop the system to help the needy, the SMEs and the microfinance. And are we playing that role sufficiently? My question is maybe not. We still need to focus on developing small and medium scale businesses, microfinance, women entrepreneurship. These are areas where Islamic Bank and also the ESG, the
Yes.
environment, all these need to be focused, and we need to pay more attention to these areas in future.
So how do you think this will affect the human capital?
Human capital, you see, if we finance the microfinance, women businesses and SMEs, this will automatically be a kind of a catalyst for developing human capital. And of course, with AI coming in now, there is a lot of talk of displacement of a lot of jobs in future. And this is another area of how Islamic banks can provide the facilitation to entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, medium scale entrepreneurs, microfinances, so that who are displaced by their work in through AI can go into small scale businesses. The need is still there. You know, we still need to eat every day. There can be small businesses who can set up food, cafes, and then we need to still buy clothes. And a lot of, like you are wearing the hijab, a lot of Malaysian entrepreneurs, even Saudi entrepreneurs in Dubai have developed the Islamic fashion, which has become a big industry.
Yes.
So these are the areas where we can focus: halal industry, halal businesses, and Islamic banks can play a role in developing these areas.
So from point of view, entrepreneurs, what are the skills they need to be equipped? Are innovation, digitalization, or technical aspects for Islamic finance?
A combination of the two.
Okay.
We cannot ignore the digital economy that is coming on stream. At the same time, we also need to focus on the bread and butter businesses, which has been there all the time. So a careful blend. For example, now we know that the AlBaraka group has got a digital bank license in Saudi Arabia, and this is one way forward in developing the digital economy as well. And like that, there are many digital banks, Islamic digital banks. Even in Malaysia, there are 5 digital banks which are Islamic. They are all starting, but at a startup level. We do not know how successful they will be, inshallah. I hope provided with the right talent and the right technology and the right market approach, they will be able to be successful. So we have to have modern technology blended with the existing finance, traditional Islamic finance. So we should combine. And every Islamic bank can also develop the digital economy because they don't have a separate license. They can also bring in products through digital thing and apps which are used, and then there can be a good interaction between the customers and the banks.
Okay. Many people remember the late Sheikh Saleh Kamel as an entrepreneur, investor, and one of the leading pioneers of the Islamic economy. How would you describe the legacy he left for future generations, and what lessons from his journey remain most relevant for the industry today?
See, Sheikhs, I have had the privilege of working with Rahmatullah Alayh Sheikh Saleh from 1989 until he passed away. A long journey, and I learned a lot from him on leadership, entrepreneurship, how to develop businesses, and he always took challenges which people thought was crazy, but he took it and he succeeded. One of the examples I learned from him was in Tunisia. He took over a piece of land which was a waste land and converted it into a high class real estate, and that was a success story. Everybody thought Sheikh Saleh must be crazy to go and acquire that piece of land, which was a wasteland, but he made it into a very successful real estate project. So he takes challenges. Similarly, when he went into Arab radio, television also, there were a lot of challenges which he faced, but ultimately he made a success of it. So he does not fear to tread into new areas, but one of his worries was Islamic banks has not developed as he had envisioned.
Yes.
He told me in one of my last conversations with him, Vaseehar, the way Islamic finance is developing is not exactly what I wanted to. We need to develop more and create a better product than just taking on the Western or conventional products and using them as Islamic products. That was his big worry, that we were not going in the right direction. And if he had lived a little longer, he was trying to undo some of the things, even within the group. But Allah knows better. But hopefully we, as the family and the group, will be able to. I know Sheikh Abdullah has also told me that he wants to follow the father's legacy. So inshallah, we will try to implement those.
Inshallah. So for generations, would you please brief in 3 or 4 words advices for them?
Never fret, be afraid to tread in areas. Be innovative, but hard work. You know, you can be innovative, but it has to be coupled with hard work. Sheikh Saleh used to work tirelessly until the last day of his life. I know how hard he was. So working hard, working smart, and be innovative. Those are the 3 things.
Thank you so much.